Hello friends, hope you're all well. So let's hop into this video without further delay. So let's begin preparing for our geode artwork. And generally, the first thing that we usually start with is sketching on our notebook or sketchbook. And for your sketches, they don't have to look very detailed. Something that is very rough and small in size, just so that when you look back at it, you know what's happening in the piece, you know what colors you were planning on using, you know where the placement of each detail is going, like as for the lines and the crystal sections, you know exactly where these are going. And while I know that a lot of us just want to start ahead with the artwork and go with the sketch we already have in mind, sketching on a sketchbook or notebook does help us and keep us much more organized, especially as the piece progresses. And oftentimes we've noticed that when we sketch our ideas and designs on paper, we tend to get the final product just as we desired it to be before we started it. Unlike the other option where we just keep the ideas and designs inside our heads, the design or the final product is more prone to error and changes that was not planned for or imagined in our heads. And for sketching, you can use anything that you want. You can use markers, you can use pens or pencils, you can use paints like acrylic paints, oil paints. You can do whatever that you like and desire. That is really up to you, but oftentimes we go with pencils and markers. Once you finish sketching, your next step is start preparing your workspace. So it's recommended that you pour your resin on a flat surface that is stable, like on a table, and on your table or whatever surface that you're pouring on, make sure that you cover it with a plastic sheet or something to protect it from resin drips. On your table, set 4 mini cups so that your wooden panel would set on the same level and would just sit above the table surface, so that when the resin drips, it does not create any edges. It would just like fall down to the table. The next thing you're going to do is grab a spirit level, and this is a basic material that you must have when working with resin to ensure that the wooden panel and the overall surface is very well leveled. Otherwise, you may face issues with your resin pour, and which may result in ruining your designs. And for clarity, I am just introducing the materials you're going to need to finish this project and the basic materials for resin work. And aside from spirit level, wooden panel, and the 4 mini cups, you're going to need gloves. So whenever you're working with resin, gloves are always on to protect your skin from resin. Also, it's better to wear long sleeve shirts to protect your skin. The next thing you're going to need is a mask, respirator mask for your face. You're gonna need a wooden stick and a torch. So a mask and goggles are always necessary to protect yourself from the resin fumes and anything that could be toxic that would be coming out of the epoxy resin you're using. And you're using a torch to get rid of the bubbles and maybe cause some little minimal movement in your resin work if you prefer to do so. And then we are going to need a primer. So we talked about the purpose of a primer in a previous clip, so I will not go over that now. You're going to also need a frog green tape, scissors, and a snip knife, as well as baby wipes. And the other important components are paper cups, mini paper cups, and medium size, large size, and a brush. And you're gonna also need measuring cups to measure your resin. Now you can use silicone measuring cups or plastic measuring cups, it's really up to you. Both would work. I like to use silicone and plastic. Both work great when mixing resin, especially that you can clean them very well after your resin cures out and you can reuse them. You're going to also need some sort of decorative glass for your geode designs. I did not go into depth into these, but this is the basic thing that you could have, is the clear, the crushed glass. And the rest of the materials are the colors and the glitters we're going to use. So for the pigments, I'm using pigment base, pigment powder, metallic ones, and mica powder. And I'm using glitters, fine glitters, and sequin glitters. We did not actually end up using that, but it's optional. And you'll need alcohol for cleaning purposes. And just quickly, the colors are greens, whites, and gold. And that's all of the basic materials you're going to need to make your own geode resin artwork. And I'll go into more depth regarding each material in the next few lectures, so just stay tuned for that, and I'll see you later. Thank you for watching.